Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Joshua and I'm going to be your presenter. It is promptly 1 p.m. Eastern time here. We're here to talk about reissuing a lost payroll check. Before we get started, a few things. Sorry folks, if you've been there before, you've heard these. Click the little red arrow on the sidebar of your webinar control panel to minimize the webinar control panel. This is particularly important if you have a single monitor. If you've got a dual monitor, just drag that control panel out to your second desktop just to get it out of the way. Again, it allows you to get a full visual effect of the webinar presentation. We're here for the next 20 minutes or so, probably less, folks. Frankly, this is not a terribly complex topic. But if for some reason it does go to 1:20, I will promptly wrap things up at 20 minutes after the hour. And if there are questions that I haven't addressed during the event, I'll see what we can't do to get those questions answered at some point. We are, again, recording today's event. As we always do, the recording of today's webinar event will be on our support center page at our website. Early next week. The person who normally does that is out of the office this week, so they'll be back in on Monday to take care of that. So you will be able to revisit this, the video when it's available. FYI, this is not taken from a workbook. It's actually a document that we have out on our website. So if you go to churchwindows.com and go to the support center, and if you type in the keyword lost or reissue, you'll find the topic here. Let me introduce my highlighter right here. Payroll, reissuing a lost payroll check. This is not a video, this is a document. So if we click on that, notice here there's the PDF file. It says, PDF, viewer print PDF, reissue lost payroll check. That is the document that I am using as the guide for today's webinar event. So you will be able to go and print that and access the same printed information that I'm using for the webinar presentation today. Please keep the questions topical. If you have those for me, you are certainly welcome to type those into the questions portion of the webinar control panel. But again, all we do ask is that you keep it on topic regarding reissuing a lost payroll check. There may be another webinar event that's more suited for your questions that you have. Or, of course, our support technicians are available now. Please call us. We're happy to help. 800-533-5227. All right. So the assumption on this particular event is the church uses Church Windows Payroll. Well, it doesn't even really matter whether they use Church Windows Payroll. The same thing can apply if you don't. But for the purposes of our webinar, the assumption is we're using Church Windows Payroll. We have an employee who has been issued a check in a previous payroll period that has lost it, and they are now wanting to be issued a replacement check for that payroll check. So the first thing is that, of course, in payroll, we do have things like under payroll, or under reports in payroll, we've got reprint check stubs, things like that. But we don't have an option that actually allows us to reprint a check to issue a new check from the payroll module, okay? So as the document talks about at the top, it kind of asks a couple of crucial questions. If a payroll check is lost and needs to be reissued, how does this affect the employee's W-2? How will this affect our taxes? And so, to answer those questions is very simple. The answer to it is that we do not do anything in payroll to reissue it. The reissuance or the replacement of the check is all handled exclusively in the accounting module, okay? Frankly, this doesn't occur whether it's in the current tax period or in a prior tax, quarter, or even in a previous accounting or payroll year. The problem is best handled and should exclusively be handled in the accounting module only, okay? We do not need to go into payroll and go to void individual pay, void that out, because that's when problems start occurring, Okay, if we void something in payroll, then we might possibly be dropping the ball and messing something up in both our payroll system and our accounting system. So again, in this case, let's assume here we go to payroll and void individual pay, that our employee right here under March 15th, Lisa Young, lost or has misplaced check number 12394 for the $516, and she wants to now be paid for that, okay? So I do not have to void this here. I can deal with this all in accounting, okay? So with that being said, we're now going to just exit out of, well, we're not. We're going to make some notes here. So we're going to go to void individual pay. It's check number 12394 for $516 for Lisa Young. So I've now made my notes. I'm done here, okay? I'm going to now go into accounting. And so the first step here is we have to add a vendor payee account to our chart of accounts for Lisa in order to reissue or print her a check, okay? So step one of how to do that is we're going to go right up here to manage accounts at the top left and go to accounts plus minus, and then right here across the top left to accounts payable / vendors, okay? So it brings up our main ledger liability. All of our current vendors and payees are listed down at the bottom. So we're going to come in here and we're going to enter her name, you know, folks, here I went, and I'm getting forgetful about it. I want to make sure that we're adding the right employee's name. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Lisa Young. Okay, that was my fault. Sorry. So we go back into our accounting module. We're going to bring it up here, Lisa Young. We're going to click the Add Account button here. It now adds Lisa's account to our list of vendors down here in our chart, in our accounts payable vendor. There's Lisa. If I highlight it, I can go over to the vendor payee tab to the right and key in, you know, additional address information for her if I wish. Okay, in this particular case, we're not going to concern ourselves with that. Okay, so I've done step one here. I've added the vendor account to my chart of accounts to reissue a new lost check. That's the point, is we're not really needing to issue a new payroll check. We just need to get her a check for the net amount. If I do need to reprint a stub, I can go into payroll and do the reprint check stubs and issue her a reprinted stub for that pay date, and then just hand her the check that I have that I've reprinted from accounting, okay? So now step two is, now I have to put a journal entry, add a journal entry into the system here to be able to add that amount of money back into my chart of accounts for the check that is clearly not cleared the bank, okay? This check is outstanding on my bank reconciliation. It's never cleared. And so this journal entry is required because this is the only thing that really allows me to reissue that. So now I'm going to go up to transactions in the top left, and we're going to go right across the top center here to other, right here, okay? Get out my highlighter again. Hopefully everybody can see that. And then when I click on that, I'm going to choose a journal entry transaction, okay? So here, I'm going to put my date occurred, so I'm reissuing it today. I'm going to make it today. I'm going to enter my transaction date as today, okay? My accounts, here I'm going to type in my first account. I'm going to put in Lisa Young. I'm going to put in the credit amount as the $516, the net amount of her check, okay? I can put in either line item or transaction comments, adjustment for lost check payroll check number 12394 for Lisa Young, reissuing. I can enter as many detailed comments as I want, okay? And then I'm going to click over here, and on the empty account space above it, I'm going to choose my Huntington Bank checking, which is the account the original check was written off of, and I'm going to put that in the debit amount column, also for $516, okay? So now when I clicked on Add to Batch, I'm really well known for this, that once I've added this, I'm going to click the button here in the upper right labeled Show Running Balance. Again, let me get my highlighter out. So right here, it's in the upper right, it's called Show Running Balance right here, okay? So when I click on the Show Running Balance, it's going to show me the effect of this transaction on these accounts. So notice it's adding the $516 back into my Huntington Bank checking account, and it's putting a $516 balance into Lisa's new vendor account that can now be paid, okay? So this is having the desired effect on these accounts that I want. If not, I would then highlight it and click Edit, or I would double click on it. It would move it back up to the top. I can make the desired changes, clicked on Add to Batch, and verify under my Show Running Balance that it's doing what I want. It absolutely is. So I'm ready to now post this transaction. So I would post it. I don't want to print the report, so I'll close out of my journal entry transaction. So step 2 of my 3 steps is done. Well, 4, frankly, 2 of 4, okay, has been dealt with. Okay. Now I'm ready to go into Pay Bills. We're on step 2 of our document, or page 2 of our document here. Okay. And then I go up to Quick Pay at the top, View Vendors with a Balance, and sure enough, Lisa shows right here with my Lisa Young with a balance of $516 ready for me to pay. Okay, so now I'll put a check mark in the select box, and I'll click Create Payments. Okay, so again, this was not entered as a bill, so notice here that the amount to pay in the middle is 0 right here. So I have to key that in, the amount that I want, which in this case happens to be the balance. So my date occurred is correct. I'm reissuing a check from my Huntington Bank checking. I'm going to put over here, right here under my amount to pay, I'm going to type in the $516. I'm going to choose Computer Prepared Check. I can type in some comments here if I wish. And then I'm not entering the check number, of course, because that will be entered, that check number will be assigned when I get to the check printing screen. Then when I'm ready, I'm going to simply click, again, my date occurred is today because this is the date that it's occurring in reality. So I'm going to go ahead and click Post and Print Checks, okay? So I would do Post and Print Checks. I'm going to say no to printing my report. But now what it does is it should open up my Print Checks window to print a computer-prepared check that I can then just assign and print a new check stock and present that check to Lisa to give her, to pay her, to get her a check. Yes, like I said, I might go in and the payroll, there it is. So I would choose my check layout, to enter my starting check number based on my next check in the sequence, click on the print, and then print her a new check, and we're good to go on that, okay? Like I said, I would go into payroll, maybe go into reprint check stubs and backdate, or go back and reprint a check stub for the March 15th pay for her, just to verify that that's what that's for. Okay, but I've done nothing to change anything in my previous payroll quarter where I've already submitted my taxes and everything else. I've basically removed the possibility of even making a mistake, okay? I've also not touched my asset balance in that prior period either. It's all dealt with in the current month. So nothing historically has changed. It's all been dealt with in June of 2019, okay? And that's it. I would just print the check, give it to her with her check stub, reprinted check stub, and she can take that check to the bank, and she's now received her pay for her paycheck that she lost. All right, folks, that's our topic today. Frankly, you can do something similar in virtually any number of search situations that way. It doesn't have to be a payroll check. It could be a lost check for an account, for a vendor in accounting. You could do something similar in exactly the same manner. But in this case, the reason why we're not changing this in a payroll is because, again, we don't want to change data in a prior tax period and risk dropping the ball, okay, and also not affect our asset account. All right, so that's our topic.